Manufacturing sector is the country's fourth largest industry, contributing 14% to the gross domestic product. The manufacturing circle has 50 of the country's biggest manufacturers as its members. Now, the sector has welcomed the economic stimulus package for the country. We're joined now by the chairperson of the organization, Ayanda Mngadi, to find out how the sector has responded to the package and what it would like to see moving forward. Thank you for your time, Ayanda. Perhaps let's start with what manufacturers on the ground have been saying, what your members have been saying, how they have been affected by COVID-19.
Tammy, thank you for having me. Our members on the ground have expressed quite a bit of strain because the nationwide lockdown has been quite catastrophic and had devastating effects on our economy. And in as much as I think the president, when he addressed us on the 22nd, he highlighted that the pandemic requires an economic response that is equal to the scale of the disruption that it is causing. And the reality is there is a lot of strain from a cash flow perspective and liquidity perspective, but also just in a concern of organizations of different sizes, of manufacturers of different sizes, from micro to small, medium, and large, who are worried about the possibility of sustaining their businesses during this lockdown and keeping workers gainfully employed. Even for those that are operating in the essential services, you're finding that manufacturing is so complex that it is difficult to run a factory half. So meaning it's difficult to actually separate your production process and just carve out the essential services. It's actually proving even to be more costlier for some of the organizations to do that, but they have to respond to the call that has been made to supply the country with essential services. And so really it is quite a balancing act, and I think we're doing our best to keep it under control.
And which have you noticed are the companies that are most at risk at this time?
I beg your pardon?
And which companies have you noticed to be most at risk at this particular time? Which of your members?
I just think it's across the board, really, because obviously nobody anticipated that this was going to take place. So in all reality, nobody was actually ready for it. So you're finding that, the biggest risk, I think, that has been highlighted is for small players who cannot afford to stay closed for long periods. That's the first. But then the second one on the top end of the scale is really big business as well that has business that is largely export and focused. I can make an example with the company that I work for. We export 65% of the product that we make. And what you found is that when the lockdown happened, it happens at a time where you have a lot of finished goods, meaning you have capital that is tied in finished goods, but at the same time you have capital that is tied in finished goods that are already at the port. And you also are making your clients wait on the other side, and the biggest risk across the board for anyone who is a manufacturer and has a client is cancellation of orders, and because of the delay that is beyond your control, but also your clients' business is actually folding because they can't cope with the period that we are under. So that is a very big risk for everyone across the board, and that's why we have taken the time to actually not only prepare our members and say, for the likelihood that the president considers our sector as part of the sectors that should be prioritized to be reopened. We don't want it to cause the delay. We are calling on all of our members, small, medium, micro enterprises and large manufacturing firms, to participate in the sector-wide campaign that we're running in checking our readiness to re-enter the economy by ensuring that we have well-thought-out compliance plans to implement COVID-19 health, safety, and hygiene protocols. It's going to be important for us to hold our end of the bargain to make sure that we don't put pressure on government to let us operate. But then when we are allowed to operate, then we find that there's a sudden spike in infections because we are not ready. A lot of good work has been done by manufacturers, and we run surveys, and that has covered, I think our initial one covered 50,000 employees, and most of all these members have come up with plans in terms of how to respond, in terms of how to prioritize making sure that we get back to full operation, because only trading ourselves out of this situation will help us. And it also will give us an opportunity to partner with government and supply information and data that is realistic in terms of the testing and the scanning, etc. Maybe the last thing I can add is, whilst the risk is high, it's been important for us to also consult with the labor movement. So NUMSA, who is the biggest labor movement in our space, we have had engagements with them, and we are quite aligned in the fact that it's going to be critical for the route to reopening the economy to be as short as possible, but also it's going to be critical for us as manufacturers to be authentic and honest in our commitment to keeping our workers safe and to keeping our plants ready to reopen, because that balance between their ability to manufacture and our ability to keep them safe is what is going to save the economy.
Ayanda, and what is your reaction to the President's economic stimulus package? Do you also view this as a possible opportunity for the manufacturing sector to be stimulated in one way or another? There will, as we know, also be a large procurement of the production of PPE, among other things.
We absolutely look at it as a positive step. I think the people of this country and businesses alike are under tremendous pressure. So this intervention that government has brought to the table is very timely, and it's also very welcome. I'm pointing out particularly the tax relief, the very targeted assistance to SMMEs and just to manufacturing in general. I mean, criticizing would be easy, and to sit back and say, no, we wouldn't have liked this and we wouldn't have liked that. But the reality of it is what government has managed to do is figure out a very keen balancing act of trying to prioritize what's good for the country, what's good for the people, and what's good for the economy. And at the end of the day, the social injections as well are going to create an opportunity for a lot of difference to be made, particularly for the workers, who you find that most of them are shop floor workers. They are weekly paid, and they are used to a particular lifestyle of, a full month and full pay, and some of the manufacturers are literally unable to pay workers in full under these circumstances, especially following the extension of the lockdown. And so these interventions, some of them might seem like they are small, all the way down to even food parcels. People are very much under pressure at the moment, and industry is very much under pressure at the moment, particularly from a cash flow point of view. And so we welcome this stimulus package, and we are availing ourselves as partners in thinking, partners in implementation, to assist government and just confirm our commitment to getting the country back on track together. We believe that we have a very important contribution to make in terms of assisting government to have a very good sense of the numbers in terms of the COVID-19 infections, as well as just the ability for us to cope with that and the testing and the screening that we are able to do. So we welcome the stimulus package, and we look at it as something very positive for our economy.
Well, thank you so much for your insight and your time there, Ayanda Mngadi, who is chairperson of the Manufacturers Circle.